guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming, and stuff you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Interea. So yeah, before we jump into it, just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now up for as little as $5. Y'all can help support the channel and get some awesome rewards like permanent access to our community Discord server and full access to upcoming Not Safe for Work videos. Like my upcoming Not Safe for Work video on Tennis Ace between Shuichi and you and their first night together. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go. Alright. I assume you have drones. I'd rather not wear wolven fashion. Of course I do. Wouldn't want to ruin your pretty looks, would we? Drones? Brunus glances back at me. Yeah, I know they wanted us to take you to a tailor or something, but Chemian climate drones let you control your own temperature and such. Oh. I didn't even think such technology existed. All I saw at the palace was the central climate control. We can get you clothes if you prefer that. Doubt the tailor would know how the hell to dress you, though. Killian is simply not used to such tech. He's only been exposed to the wolven way of life. Shame. Well, we'll show you the ways of the Chemian comfort in a bit. Just gotta go get them from the flat they stuck me in. Where did they stick you, by the way? Believe it or not, I think it was a hostel. They cleared out a bunch of wolves right when I arrived. It seems a bit crude. The entire city is, even by Astran standards. Pretty sure I walked by a fucking public whipping before curfew kicked in. It makes me feel a bit on edge. Well, it doesn't surprise me. I had been sheltered by the palace since I got here, as much as it could be called a shelter anyway. But I've never really been exposed to the wolven way of life. Brunus lowers his voice. I mean, they're practically barbarians, Neferu. Don't say that, Brunus. Besides, this area is particularly disadvantaged politically and economically. Neferu's tone is quiet but stern. I know. Just weird seeing it in person, you know? You also seem to keep forgetting that the Emperor's companion is with us. Brunus looks back at me. Oh yeah, sorry. You're with the Wolf Emperor, right? I wonder what he means by with, but I assume it's a lot considering it's fairly common knowledge. I clear my throat. Yeah, but you don't have to censor yourself in front of me. Brunus laughs. Well, it is my job to be delicate in front of the important people. I would consider you to be just that. I haven't known you for very long, Brunus, but delicate isn't how I describe anything you do. Why is that, Neferu? Because you're so... Neferu waves a paw lazily in Brunus's general direction. Well, you. What? Because I don't do things the traditional way. I did go to Sibiats, just like you, Neferu. I'm pretty sure I got higher marks, too. Academia isn't quite the same as real-world application. Yeah, and I've led a few dozen negotiations that resulted in some of the most important galactic treaties being signed. The conversation's sudden turn from friendly to tense is a bit jarring. It's clearly about a lot more than Brunus's delicacy. And I wonder if this was already a point of contention between them. But, as important as this... Brunus is quiet for a moment. You think your brother is trying to fuck this up for you, huh? I kinda wish we'd just gone to a tailor. Being inside someplace warm while being fussed over by another wolf is preferable to being alone with these two bickering Chemians. I did not say... Oh, you said it. You've more than said it. If you don't think I'm fit for the job, then just tell your boss. I'll gladly resign. Did you not want this job? I want it. I've trained my entire life for it. But if my own fellow Chemian doesn't want me here, then that's a piss-poor start, don't you think? The silence really drags on now as we turn onto a street that's as empty as the last. I occasionally catch the sight of wolves peering from windows or balconies, but they quickly disappear as soon as I look up. Haven't you been here for a few months, Brunus? It seems like you two are only just meeting. I feel the awkward silence, wanting to make myself more a part of the conversation rather than being a reluctant eavesdropper. Yeah, well, negotiations got delayed on the Chemia side, and then I got shipped out here to be part of this whole, I don't know, whatever the hell this is. It's the first time we've spoken in weeks. We spoke through the portal several times, Brunus. Wish you'd been a bit more blunt about how you felt about me. I was simply asking a question. You're as informal as they come, and I just find it surprising that you were chosen. Second, y'all. Water time. Listen, Neferu. Brunus turns to the jackal and we stop. Yeah, I'm here for a reason. I'm a political statement. I'm a reminder, a scar for the wolves to think about while they negotiate. Now that I'm focusing more on those scars and the prosthetic arm, I'm suddenly realizing who this might be and where he might come from. But I'm also damn good at my job, and I'll be honest when I say that you're not very good at yours. Ooh, excuse me. Nefru noticeably bristles, which is what surprised me most about all this. It is very, very hard to get under Nefru's skin. I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen it happen. I feel bad for Nefru, but he did provoke this argument, and I guess Kimians are supposed to be blunt. So, I'm here to help you, and to make this a success so that you're known for more than just getting your nuts cracked. I see Nefru's ears lower even more. Your brother might be an asshole, but he's not stupid enough to jeopardize the entire galaxy just to make you more miserable. After a few seconds, I see Nefru bring his expression into a more neutral state, though I see his eyes flick toward me for just a moment, probably wishing just as much as I do that I wasn't here. I've caught a vague idea of what's going on in your family. I do think you got the shortest end of the stick, but that's not important here. Try to lower your voice a bit, Brunus. We have spectators. Sure enough, woven heads have reappeared at the windows and balcony ledges, many of them staring wide-eyed at all three of us. Just know that I'm on your side, all right? Yes, all right. Now let's move before you reveal more sensitive information to random passers-by, shall we? Brunus turns and starts walking up the street again. Huh! They wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about even if they could hear us, Neff. Again, don't say such things. I'm not saying they're stupid, just that they don't have the context to understand any of it. Hell, I bet the Emperor's companion is the same. Brunus turns to me for confirmation. Well... I look around, deciding we were far enough away from the watching wolves to not be heard. I know about the situation with the Alliance. There are issues between Nefru and his family, and I was actually wondering... Although Brunus isn't looking at me, I can see his ears twitch lower with every word, just as Nefru's are coming up. I'm not intending to make him look foolish, but I don't want to be making the impression that I'm a clueless ape, either. I've done that for too long on this moon. Are you one of the Wolverines from Deshareth? Sorry for being too forward, but I know Kimians appreciate that style of conversation. Nefru side-eyes Brunus. Yeah, actually. One of two still alive. Sorry to hear that. It was a terrible thing that happened. Brunus shrugs. Too young to remember much anyway. Surprised you know about it. Sorry, I'm learning about politics and diplomacy and all that still. So if I overstep boundaries, just let me know. I appreciate it, actually. I'd have thought that you wouldn't have learned about what happened on Deshareth from Adastran history. We seem to finally reach the Wolverine's flat as we walk around to the back of a two-story building and towards a door that seems to lead down into a basement. I've supplemented it with Kimian recordings. Well, good on ya. We don't even enter the building as he rummages around in some metal crates right at the entrance before activating black, dome-shaped drones that float above us. I can already tell that they're far more advanced when compared to Adastran drones, and I'm even more impressed when I feel a warm, cone-like shape pour over me. You can adjust the heat with commands from your lingua. I watch Nefru as he seems to squirm in delight at the feeling of his own drone's warmth. So, is this where we're going to be staying? They both laugh. No, you'll have your own living space with the Emperor, likely far outside the city. Oh shit, speaking of, I think Amicus's pugnu match is going to start soon. Let's pick up the pace and get to the amphitheater. I feel the uneasiness return. Already? Don't we have meetings and speeches to do or something? No, this is what the city cares about most. If Amicus beats their champion, their only desire for representation will be destroyed. I honestly hope that Amicus is willing to take a fall for our delegation. Second, y'all. Water time. I'd rather it not happen at all. Meh, they like this kind of shit. I'd worry more about one of those famous Lux riots happening while we're here. Their words don't offer much comfort as we make our way to the city center, the eyes of the peering wolves seeming to follow us the entire way here. Entire way there. Amicus stands in the middle of the amphitheater, still seething after Cassius's speech. By any other standard, it would have been a fine speech, something he himself would have been proud of if he'd been the one to give it. For Cassius, though, it was subpar at best. He'd certainly said what was needed to be said, but his usual fire and passion had been absent. There are no large crowds due to the curfew. It was obvious the Luxians were aware of how lacking the speech had been. Every now and even now, the triumvirs appeared slightly perturbed, and Amicus closed his eyes in quiet frustration as he imagined the thousands of citizens listening to the speech in their homes. Still, Amicus knows that he won't be scolding his brother after all this is said and done. Cass had not been himself since his poisoning, and Amicus had suspected that would be his first speech since that incident would not go well. Amicus also imagines that Cassius having to verbally pledge his support to him only made it more difficult for his younger brother. But now the exhibition match is already upon him. And because of that uninspiring speech, Amicus realizes that he must lose this match if he's to quell the City of Rebellion's fury. As he warms up, stretching and practicing his stance, he watches his soon-to-be opponent do the same out of the corner of his eye. The old wolf, who had been smiling pleasantly off to the side for the duration of the introductory speeches, moves rather smoothly, and Amicus notes his unusual focus on kicks. It's not anything Amicus hasn't come up against in his past matches, and he has little to doubt he can easily crush the old man if he caught him in a grapple. But that wolf is a hero, a champion in these lands. Amicus knows that the consequences of beating him in front of his own people might very well lead to a sudden, unlawful end to the curfew, followed by a riot that would endanger the entire delegation. Amicus glances over to where said delegation is seated, and he's a bit startled to see Killian settling down to watch. Well, he would have preferred that his human would not see the match. It still fills him with a burst of energy, intending to show him how physically capable he is. Indeed, Amicus has shown him that plenty of times during their own physical encounters in the bedroom, but that required considerable restraint on his part. As Amicus straightens up, breathing evenly, the older wolf disrobes and finally steps toward to greet his emperor. Amicus already knows him to be Magister, the unusual name having been given to him later in life, indicative of his status amongst the people of Lux. Good day, His Imperial Highness. I am Magus. I am your chosen opponent for a friendly bout of pugnu. I would be honored if you were to join me in our proud and ancient sport, if you are ready, Your Majesty. Amicus nods his head as the old wolf bows low to the ground, sensing only a genuine feeling of goodwill from the other wolf. Of course, Magus. Shall we begin and shall we assume our positions? Magus answers by falling into an odd stance that seems to emphasize striking over grappling as Amicus squats low toward the ground. Their styles seem to be on opposite ends of the spectrum in pugnu techniques, but Amicus has dealt with such fighting styles in the past, especially from Cato. He doubts this wolf is able to match that warrior's speed and strength. Deciding to make the first move, Amicus rushes in for a tackle, knowing that a takedown would instantly turn the fight in his favor. While he still plans to throw the match, he needs to make it look good. Killian is watching after all, and maybe his powerful charge will let the old wolf know that his impending win is artificial. His muscles propel his bulk forward, and in the back of his mind, Amicus just slightly worries that he might accidentally end the match by crushing the old wolf. Oh! Phew! His rush is brought to an instant and jarring halt, the jolt emanating through his core before spreading out to his limbs, making him almost fold in half in midair. Pressure builds in his chest, then into his cheeks, which almost humorously swell up before his breath blasts from his muzzle so hard and fast that it makes his lips ripple. Got played, son. 1 second, y'all. Water time. It only lasts a few seconds, but Amicus is at least able to understand that he'd been viciously kicked in the stomach. So hard, in fact, that Magus's foot had very nearly disappeared into his belly. Somehow his opponent doesn't budge in the least bit as he holds steady against Amicus's much larger bulk, and finally the younger wolf comes back down to land on weak ankles. Amicus then folds up on the floor of the amphitheater, deafening silence ringing in his ears as he heaves several times, wondering how he'd been affected so badly despite being tensed up and ready. He manages to keep calm, waiting for his breathing to return to normal, having experienced similar situations during his sparring matches with his father, and then with Cato. In fact, not since Cato has he felt such breathless agony, but even he had never managed to land such a blow when Amicus had been prepared. The wolf tries not to look toward his delegation, pushing the knowledge from his mind that his human is watching. Finally, he begins to breathe normally and manages to pull himself back up to his feet, trying to muster back up his will to fight after having it knocked from him. The other wolf had been slowly moving back and forth in a half circle in front of Amicus, making himself look busy, clearly avoiding a possible grappling situation. The humiliation of the first blow warms Amicus's cheeks and ears, its memory leaving his belly, feeling hollowed out. Maybe throwing the match isn't the best idea. After being down with such ease, and knowing this is being broadcasted to all of Ad Astra. Amicus sets his expression into an iron mask of stoic readiness, this time waiting for the old wolf to come to him. Magus does so slowly, and the second he's within reach, his foot flies up again. Time slows for Amicus, and his eyes flick at the sudden movement. The wolf knows he's not in the best shape, his training time having been completely swallowed up by Imperial duties. Still, some skills never left one's mind after learning them. He's reminded of this as muscle memory kicks in to catch the lightning-quick attack. Instinct takes full control, and Amicus begins to prepare his next attack, one to bring the fight to the ground where he knows he will have a significant advantage. The man can kick, that's for certain, But even now, Amicus can feel his own muscles and strength overcoming anything the Elder Wolf tries to bring against him. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!